Alright folks, I'm Brandon from Node. I'm going to show you how to build a Joomla website from top to bottom from scratch for your own domain name. So first I'm logged into a control panel. This is a Plesk based control panel. I have a domain name pointed to this, which is captainshad.com, and we can see that if we actually visit Captain Shad, we get a Plesk control panel. So the first thing that we need to do is get a website installed for Joomla. And to do the Joomla installation, a lot of people would come down here to the applications and just do a click and install Joomla, but that's not what we're going to do. We actually want to use a Rocket theme for this. And the reason we want to use a Rocket theme is because the Rocket themes are fantastic themes that are real easy to quickly launch and build around. So here's some of the templates, and I have a membership to the Developers Club for the Rocket themes. So this is a tool that I spend the necessary money to get the good templates for. Now, let me show you these templates and just give you an idea. Let's say we want to build on the latest one, which here is Kraken. And in this case, let's go ahead and just take a look at the demo of Kraken. And when we look at Kraken here, we're going to see that there's a menu over here and it does different things. There's some social icons here, a logo, and we're going to actually just see how this thing is laid out. We're not going to use all of these different elements, but the key thing is that each of these different elements represent pieces of the template that we're going to enable and disable. So not all of these pieces are going to be enabled when we're done. And if we look at the pages, we can actually see some really nice predefined layout pages that all we need to do is customize and do some real simple little customizations to as we just kind of go through editing our template and building out our site. So we need to decide what pages that we're going to want on our site. Now in the case of CaptainShad.com, we're going to build a web development company from the ground up here. So this is going to be Captain Shad websites, and we're going to build this straight from this Joomla template and create this thing from absolute nothing. So the first thing that we need to do is download this particular theme, and I'm going to access this and actually go ahead and download it. And now what I want though is I want the Rocket launcher. I don't really want the standalone template. I want the launcher because the Rocket launcher is going to let me actually launch this entire template completely pre-configured, so that all I have to do is edit the template that they've already built. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and once the file saves, the very first thing that I need to do is upload the file to my web server. So back on my hosting account, and this can be any control panel that you use. I happen to be using my own control panel because I offer web hosting services as well through my company Node. But if you're using any cPanel with any provider or any other Plesk-based system, or hosting your own site, doesn't matter. You just get the files onto your server first. So let's go ahead and upload this rocket launch site here. So let's find the Kraken template and fire it up and get it uploaded to the server. So once the upload occurs to the server, the very first thing we're going to have to do is extract the files, because this is just a zip file. Now, along the way, we just might want to refer back to our template and just take a look at a couple of things inside of here. So there's going to be a few different styles that we can choose from. We're not going to be limited to just how this looks just on the home page. There's several different styles. We can see that there's a rotator here that we can take advantage of, and we can see that this template is a really unique has a real unique transparent style here that we're going to need to edit. So with all that kind of thought out, now let's take a look at our upload, which is about finished. The upload completes, and let's go ahead and extract it. So I'm just going to click it, and then I'm just going to extract files here and extract. Now, this only takes a moment, so the files become extracted. And now I could just go to this site and begin the installation. So let me go ahead and just do that and just see that the site comes up with the extracted files here. All right, good. So just refreshed the page and it came up. And now I can see that I'm in a configuration page here for the rocket launcher. So I just want to go ahead and give this site a name, Captain Shad, and website development by Captain Shad. Okay, let's put an admin email in there, captain@captainshad.com. And let's put a admin username in there. Let's go ahead and just use admin in this case. And we'll go ahead and put in another password here that we'll use. Now, I don't necessarily recommend using admin as the username because that's the common default username, and that's exactly what all the hackers are going to try to hit first and check on your Joomla site. So, not recommended. But here, I'm just going to select, I think usually MySQL, leave localhost. MySQL I is the typical thing too, and it might work. I'll try it. Okay, so username. And now this is for the database. Now we haven't created the database yet. We just uploaded a file and extracted it. So we actually need to go and configure the SQL database real quickly, and we just need to manually set it up. So this is real easy. We just go into our databases, and here we can see there's no databases. And this is in any control panel. You're going to have the facility to add a database. It's not really a big deal. You're not going to need to know anything about the database, because the scripts that we're going to use to install this are just going to populate everything in it, but it has to be there and there has to be a credential for it. So I'm going to call this Joom34. And database username, Captain S, and password. I'll give it a, halfway decent password. And go ahead and now we need to know what these things are. So we're going to copy this over and put this into the database name, actually. And then we want to take our username and our password. And now we should pretty much have everything set. So let's just see what happens. And if everything is happy, then it'll work. So it says could not connect to database, could not connect to my. Well, I just happen to know that usually that will fix the problem, and that did not totally fix it today. So let's take a look at this. Localhost username. Oh, you know what? We didn't save it, so we just need to apply it. Of course, if there is no database, it's not going to work. Now let's go ahead and try it again, and I'll try MySQLi because that is the default. It should work. All right, great. So everything's good there, and it passes, mostly all the checks and stuff. So let's go ahead and do the installation. All right, pretty much done. So let's remove the installation folder, which we need to do, and then go to the back end. Log in. Alright, now we're in the back end of our new Joomla installation. And we could go ahead and try to do an update on this. It may or may not like it. Sometimes the updates will fail and there could be some reason, especially on these rocket launchers. Okay, so whatever. It's good. Alright. Now we have the latest Joomla installed and we can proceed with this. So, let's take a look at the front end and just see what that looks like. get it to load. Sometimes the first load takes a moment because it has to cache, build the cache, and that takes a little extra second to load. So your first load just, might get just a second. Now you can see the background image is different here, and it's not the same that it was before. It's using the sample image, which is good, and we can see the same thing is true here for pretty much everything. So at this point we can edit this template and do whatever we want with it, and it's installed on our on our server, so we can quickly go back and forth between this and decide that we want to do stuff in the back end or do it from the front end. And now let's go ahead and do the fun part, start to do the editing. So let me show you how this thing's kind of laid out. In the template, most of the main things are modules. This big guy here is going to be a module, and so is pretty much everything. Everything on the home page is going to be some module. So we need to identify the module locations, and there's a couple of ways to do that. The easiest way is going to be to log into the front end and be able to quickly identify the module. So what we need to do is we need to actually add a login capacity to the front end of Joomla. So let's find us a login module. I'm going to filter our modules. I'm going to find us a login module and just check out and see where is this guy published. So currently it is published to the blog page. So that means that if we go into our template and we go to the blog page, there should be a login module back here that we can use. So let's go ahead and, of course, let the cache build. Okay, good. Let's scroll down, and lo and behold, here it is. So let's go ahead and log in with our administrator credential. And what this is going to do is let us edit. It's going to let us edit things from the front end, but more importantly, it's going to tell us where everything is that we need to find. So let's go back to the home page and notice this little button here, edit this menu. And I want you to notice, and it's really hard to see this probably. I wish I had a way to highlight this, but I don't. Let's see. That, knocked me out. That's strange. So for some reason here, it seemed to knock me out of a logged in state when I went back home. Let's see. All right, and I did go ahead and go into my login module here, and I added the login module to the home page real quickly. That actually brought my login option that I was looking for here. Not sure why I needed to do that. It's not typical, but anyway, so what you're looking for is when you log into the front end of the website, what you're looking for is this little box right here, and you can actually edit any one of these objects with this, except that you're going to have real limited options from the front end. So what I like to do is I like to just hover my mouse over this box, and I like to look down in the lower left hand corner there. You can see that there is a string. It's a URL path, and in that path it basically says captainchad.com/index.php (option equals com_config and controller equals config.display.modules and ID. ID is the key thing in that string we care about. ID equals 333. So what this string tells us, really obviously, is that there is a module with the ID 333, and that is the thing we care about. Now, occasionally we'll deal with something that's not a module, but for the most part, most of this stuff are it's typically modules. And wherever it's not a module, then it's going to be an article, and you'll see the article ID. So sometimes that'll throw you off. But in this case, we want to find module 333. So let's go ahead and locate that module. And so here, I'll just go ahead and save and close the login here. Now I had filtered for login, so I'll need to go ahead and clear my filter here. And then I'm going to sort by ID number, and then I'm going to find ID 333. So 333 happens to be right here, and this is a this is labeled FP header. It's in the header A location, and so we're going to go ahead and open it up. All right. Now, this is called a swiper, and it's a new kind of rocket theme thing that they've got, but basically we can look at it here and we can see some options for it. So there's items, item 1, item 2, item 3, Kraken, versatile, stylistic. Okay, so if we go here and we look, it's going to say item 1, Kraken, versatile, stylistic. All right, so it's important to note that this module and these modules down here, and this module for these guys are two different modules, but they're using the same like background here. So let's take a look at this. Let's right click in here and let's inspect the element. Let's actually like just take a look at how this is laid out here. So what we care about is understanding, okay, this here, and as we scroll down, how these are separated. And we can actually discover all of the CSS classes, of course, and anything we need to along the way here. Sometimes we can find the actual location where these things are. So, like G top, and is indicative of a top location, for example. So we use this quite often, but in this case, since we already happen to know where it is, and we already know that these three items are associated with these three items, then we could come in here and we could edit them or change some things around, vertical slides, etc. All right, we don't need to really do anything. We're going to edit their names, but let's go ahead and think this through. So this is going to be Captain Shad, and the text that we're going to be needing to apply to the very front page is going to be part of that. So let's go ahead and apply that. All right, now here's where we get into the part where we need to actually make a plan. And so we can't just go, willy-nilly through this thing. We sure could go through this thing however we wanted and just edit stuff out and whatever. But really, I prefer to make a plan. So we need to look at this site and zoom out a little bit, and we need to kind of be able to view these elements sort of independently. And first thing that I like to do is take a screenshot of each one of the elements. So there might be this over here, which is going to be an element, and I'm just going to go into Word and just start to kind of go down this list here and take these, there's a menu here, sort of just peel this thing apart block by block. And so there's, this is really one element, and this is a different one. It's real important that we, identify by these little boxes the different individual pieces, because we're going to need to work with those pieces one by one. This is what I call an inventory document. So an inventory document is a sort of basic fundamental thing that I build for every project that I start. And I take the template that I want to use and I inventory it. So with the inventory of the template, it's a lot easier to plan the changes. Some of these, this right here, I just want to, let's see, no, this is a module. Okay. And this is a module. All right. So we're going to want this. Some of these we're going to turn off. Some of them we're going to leave on. But we really want to try to get the individual elements. This is one. This is another. Now some of these things are special modules. Actually, these were two. We can break that. This is okay. Never mind. This goes to this. If we ever get curious, we can of course right click and inspect element, and we can really, actually see how these different divs are broken up. And if you don't understand how HTML works, I'd encourage you to. I think that it's much better to use HTML in general for these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually edit the code of these in HTML. So I'm just going to kind of skip down a little bit, skip a few of those pieces. We add that login, so I'm not going to worry about inventorying that because we know for sure we're going to remove it. And let me get the footer. This is probably going to be three or four separate things, but this footer, I'm going to take it. So now we actually have this Word document which contains a decent start of an inventory of this particular page. Now we want to take an inventory of each of the pages that we care about. I'm not going to do it right here, but essentially I go into, okay, if we're going to have a contact page, then we should inventory the thing. And this is what the contact page looks like. And then, as we kind of go through, then we can edit this stuff in Word before we need to put that text into play. Now, that's just the first part of the inventory. There's a second part that's equally as important because this is a planning document. So we can't really plan the site properly without going through and building this planning document. We want to know some things for each of these module positions that we care to use and deploy. So the important details are going to be, the very first important detail is the module position. So I like to get this module position and write this down. So this is going to be 333, and we're going to say module 333. Now this one is going to be 334, so we're going to say module 334. And to get these, remember I'm just hovering over this and I'm looking down in the lower left hand corner at the string of HTML that's produced, and in that string there's an ID equal sign, and that contains, it says modules ID equal, that says this is a module, here's its ID. And this is why it's so easy to use this method to just to scan and template these. There's various ways to do this, but this is my method, it's the way that I do it. This is going to be 335. So I can just come down here real quickly and just start to skip down through these and say, okay, this is module 335. And it's also common for me to take a look at the background images that are in here. Now this particular one uses some kind of special background image, and so the easiest way for me to find that image is just going to be to actually look in the code and to kind of find this image, which is right here. And that gives me a path. So it's images, rocket launcher, backgrounds, header, preset 01. So now I might be able to go into the back end. Let me go ahead and change this to 100%. And I might be able to go under templates. Then in templates, perhaps if I went to the um, the site here. And if I look, I might find like a background image. Is this the right site? Oh man, they have made some changes. Joomla is very common for making changes to the way things look, so um, it's important to keep up to date with the latest and greatest. But these are definitely some new things. So there's styles here, layout, settings, um, and what we would really care about is finding the background image. Let's see here. Okay, well, many times, most of the time, I will get the path to the background image, and in many cases, I will go straight into my hosting control panel. Then I will go to the path where that image is, which in this case, it's going to be here. And I believe, let's see, let's go pull this back up and just look, inspect element, and find this image again. I think it's going to be, oh yeah, we went right, landed right on it last time. Okay, here it is. Backgrounds, header, preset 01. So we could come in here, go to backgrounds, header, preset 01, and anything we change this to, it's actually going to apply as the live image in this header. Now, if we click on this image and we view the image info, then we can actually get the dimensions off of this guy, and we really care about those. So I'm going to take those dimensions and I'm just going to throw them in here in my planning document. I'm going to say background and do that, and then I'm also going to go ahead and save the path, and we can just save this however we wanted. It's just for our own personal reference where that is. So that way we don't have to find this stuff again. Now, what we've done here is we've kind of started to peel this side apart and put the modules on the inventoried items in our planning document. So one thing we're going to want to do is edit things inside of this site. And to do that, we need to make a change. The global configuration has an editor called TinyMCE, which I personally don't use. So we're going to change this to RockPad. Now, RockPad is pretty much straight HTML. Let's go ahead and find something that we can edit with this. So, I don't know. What is this? This could be HTML code. Let's take a look. Open this up, and it doesn't. This is a gantry particle. All right, find one. There's always custom HTML modules, and so let's just find one. This could be one. Nope, another gantry particle. All right, fine. Let's go to the back end, extensions modules. Let's just find us a custom HTML module real quick. Any one is fine. So select type, custom HTML, and then just grab any of these about Kraken. Okay, so I open this up, and in RockPad, well, there is no HTML code here to look at, so that's cool. Let's look at another one. How about, usually these pricing tables have some pretty crazy stuff. All right, so we can just look at this HTML code and edit it in line and change whatever we want. So if we were to find the pricing tables page, I bet it's right here under pages, pricing. And then if we were looking at that, we would be seeing, okay, here are the pricing tables. This is, a bunch of tables with some colors and some text formatted some different ways with a button on the bottom that links to something. It's not really anything too mysterious. And then its HTML code is available right here. Now, when I edit HTML code, a lot of times I'll just do it in line. Sometimes I use Dreamweaver or Notepad++. If you use Notepad++, you need to save your temporary Scratch file as an HTML file so that it gives you the formatting code. You can just edit it in line here as well. I do recommend that you make a copy of your code and that you take this and stick it in your planning document before you edit it. So most of the time I just come in here and say, in this case, this is part of the page we haven't really gotten to yet. So we don't have a picture of the pricing tables and the module identified, but we could do that real quickly and just grab a screenshot of the pricing tables, drop them here, and then just slap the module ID, which is 116, right here, and module 116. Okay, so now we can just actually go into the HTML code and edit this right here. Many times I'll take another copy of it and paste it below the code, and then edit that and bring it back over. But however you want to do it, it's important to manage so that you have a way to go back, because if you can't go back and you make a mistake and things don't look right, then you'll just be really sad. So now the other thing to keep in mind is that this text has a certain size. And it's very important as we work with any text inside of Joomla anywhere, inside of these templates, if we're going to edit these templates in line, that we keep in mind this many characters equals this 2-line sort of thing. And for everything to look even, we need to at least keep the same number of lines. If we say too many words and it jumps to another line, then it's going to actually knock this whole thing out of whack. So I can show you an example of that, I suppose. So let's just take a look at globally incubate standards compliant channels under basic. So let's just add some text, some additional text to mess this up, and we save it. Now when we save it, we come, we wait for this to complete, and then we come back up here. And oops. Alright, just go back. Alright. And then we're going to refresh this page. Oh, we don't even have to. So you can see that now this kind of jacked this box out of whack. So we want these things to be even. So we have to be careful how many characters we use and be mindful of this. This is one of the biggest challenges whenever you're reworking any text for anything, is that the size of the text matters. And so let's come back and let's actually delete this, and then we'll see that the thing is corrected. Alright, so this refreshes. Now this is good. So we want to go into the text and edit everything out that we need to edit out for the purpose of customizing the information in every single one of these boxes. And we do that just by real simply going down through each one of the boxes on each one of the pages that we care about. Now, when it comes time to actually specify the pages and how they work, we want to do it from the page part of Joomla. So we've been working with modules pretty much, and modules are fantastic parts of Joomla, but they're not the only part. There is, of course, the components. People get confused about. This is like special functionality that does different stuff we don't really care about. This doesn't really render on the page necessarily. Sometimes it uses a menu to access stuff from a component, but for the most part, the things that render on the page, anything customized that's rendering on the page is going to be in modules. And when we are inside of a module and we're looking at it, we can see exactly what page that module is rendered on, and we can for example, see that all these pages contain this About Kraken module. We can also see the position that the thing is published to, which in this case is the bottom A position. Now that relates to some things inside of our templates. Let's just pull our template up and let's look at the layouts inside of our template real fast. I'm just going to open this up and go to the layout option. So we can really see in detail here that the top A, top B, top C, etc., down to feature, main bar, sidebar, aside, there's all these different positions inside of the templates, and we can actually drag these things around to customize these different parts of the grid. And so if we go to the bottom, we'll see bottom A, bottom B, bottom C. And that is directly related to that module we were just looking at, which is basically getting rendered right, I believe right here, is it? Let's see, About Kraken. No, it may not be on the home page. Let's go to the About Us page. Yeah, About Kraken right here. So this is position bottom A, which you can actually see that when you hover over this guy. So, you know, it's really, really easy to document and kind of go through each one of the pieces and look real closely, real specifically at each one of the pieces that are rendering on the pages you care about. Now, this stuff can be edited and manipulated, of course, but usually we leave it alone unless there's something specific that we're trying to accomplish. And this stuff will apply to all pages on the site. So that can, but it also applies to the number of modules that are published in those positions too. So if we were to look at like what if we were to look at the pricing table thing here, we should see this is only published on the pricing table page. Go to the menu assignment here, boom, pricing table page. All right. So if we wanted to publish this on additional pages, then we could, including onto the home page right here. And this is all under the main menu naturally. So the main menu is something we need to understand. Let's go over to it. Menus, manage the main menu right here. And in this menu, we will see that this is the default home page and that these different menus are published. Now, I would personally immediately unpublish this, and then I would want to move certain pages up in the grid. So let's reorganize the menus here and get these guys how I'd like them. So we're going to turn this one off. That's going to turn all of its submenus off. We can see that it has submenus. So now all those submenus get turned off. In the pages, we're going to go ahead and take the contact page and we want to move it. Let's see, can we do it like this? No. Alright. We're just going to go into the contact page. We're going to say the menu parent item is going to be the menu root. So menu item root will bring that page up a level. Let's save and close. And you can see the change immediately reflected when we refresh this page. You should see it. Well, of course, we actually do see it because here it is. It's contact right here. And then the features thing is gone. So we need to turn off styles and get rid of download and then bring a couple other pages out. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We'll go ahead and bring out the About Us page. Put you on the menu item root. Then we'll do the pricing tables because we want to take those. Put you on the root. Then we need, let's see here, we've got those. Let's take the portfolio. Put you on the menu item root, save and close. Now let's go ahead and disable the pages, which will disable all the subpages there. And we'll disable these two as well. Styles and download. And then we'll filter by published. Then we'll move these around. Put the contact on the bottom. About us here. Pricing, portfolio, set us up like that. And refresh. All right, so you can see home, pricing, portfolio, about us, contact. All organized. Now, if we go into each one of these pages, we'll actually see what we want to see. All right. So now we can kind of go through. We could inventory each one of these, and we could get, of course, the image dimensions that we care about. For example, is there an image dimension in here we care about? Is there, especially, let's say these image dimensions right here, we might really care about 480 by 320. So we use our tools and we inventory this thing up. We find out exactly which modules that we need to edit on which pages. We use Word or Google Doc or LibreOffice document or whatever we want to document and inventory each one of these elements of each one of these pages. And then we edit those, we record the changes, and then we're good. So of course we have to upload the images, and let's just take a glance at the images. So let's say that we have this one right here. Let's say we want to put an image here. So let's just take a look at what this is. I think this is says it's a Gantry 5 particle. So it's a special type of module. So let's go ahead and look for this particular module, which is going to be module number 338. I'll come in here, find 338, sort by ID, usually. 338's right here. Pull you up. And let's see if we can edit this. Take a look at what we've got. So the new and powerful Gantry 5 framework. The new and powerful Gantry 5 framework. Great. All right. Let's click edit. Hopefully this opens something up. Well, okay, so we're looking at this. This is a special kind of, especially a new type of gantry featured module. So this is specific to the Rocket themes itself. So We just click on this and we can see the image path right here, which we can change, and we can put our own image there. But we also want to know what the size of that image is. So if we were to, if we were to open up, if we were to look at and inspect this image, then we should see 780 by 380. So we're going to need a 780 by 380 image, and actually, if we were to go ahead and open this image up, just copied this image, went straight into here, pasted it, and then if we noted this thing's size, now we know exactly what we need to replace. So in many cases, I would open up Photoshop. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, there's lots of other stuff you can use, of course, but Photoshop is an industry standard tool for people that are working with websites especially. And we would go in and we would actually take and create an image that's exactly sized properly. So let's actually just pull up some image, any image, it doesn't really matter. Let's go over here and let's just search for fox. Okay, and just go under images real quick and just find any fox. So now, of course, we don't have the rights to use this image commercially, so I don't recommend that you go in and do this kind of stuff just right off the web. But just for an example, if we were to take this image and quickly just download it and then put it into Photoshop and chopped it to the right size, then we could use that as the image in the background, and it would be the perfect size. So it's key that we resize the images to be the right size. And so to do that, I recommend you use a specific format. Alright, so here's an image of me loaded up in Photoshop, which we're going to resize the proper size. So let's just take a look at what is our current image size. It is very large, right? So we're going to want to resize this to be the proper size. So let's take a look at what we want it to be, 780 by 380. So let's go ahead and first let's note 780 by 380. So 780 by 520. Okay, good, we can do it because we're going to shave off the rest to make this down to 380. But if this was below 380, then we would actually come down here and we would set this to 380, and then we would shave this to be the proper size. But in this case, we want to use 780 here, so I'm just going to say 780, and since this is higher than the value we want to get to, then we can use it. So we're going to resize this there, zoom in. Now we need to shave off the sides where, to get it down to 380. So let's go ahead and go image, canvas size this time, change this to pixels. Now we're going to change this to 380. And we could do this kind of leaning any direction we wanted. We'll do it from the middle, so it just kind of cuts the sides off a little bit. Proceed, and so now what we've done is we've cut the top and the bottom of the image off properly, exactly like we wanted. But you know what? We actually, let's say I don't want to cut my head off like that. Say, we need to actually come in here and let's go. Let's do this again. Pixels, 380. Let's come in from the top and then orient that way. Now there, Boom. So we've got me framed up real nice, and we could save this, and then, or in this case, I could just select this real quickly, copy, and paste it, and then, I mean, this is technically the image, but anyway, we would save this and we would upload this to the server. So by doing that, we'd replace the file that had the issue, or we'd replace the original file, and now we'll be in business. So that's how you edit an image, and this is kind of an obscure image to get to because it's sort of buried sort of deep in a funky place inside of this, and you got to go in this, and it's really, really easy when you're looking at just HTML code. And let's find custom HTML. This frees up. My word froze, I think, for the moment. What was this? Oh, okay. Cancel. Oh, all right. So let's just open up one of these that probably has an image somewhere. Contact side content might. Okay, yes it does. So if I was going to replace this image, which is, if I want to know exactly where this okay, it's on the contact us page, of course it is. Just for reference, this is going to be module ID 136. So if we were to go to the page here, close our little deal out here, and then go under contact, then we could find this module 136, which is probably here, right? Exactly. And this is the image we're dealing with. So this image right here, which we can, quite easily inspect and take a look at, has a 480 by 280 size, original size. And so we would actually just take this block right here from this caret back to this caret, because the carets open and close in HTML, and we're going to actually be able to click image, and from here we would just scroll down and we would browse to our computer, and we would find a local file, we would click the upload, then we would choose that file here and we would click insert. So that would replace this little block of code with a new block of code that references a different image. So as long as we make that image the exact same size as the necessary size, which we can find right here, then we can just put whatever picture we want there. So to know that and to remember that, it would be handy, of course, to document it in our planning document. That's why we build this planning document. So here we've kind of gone through the process of building the planning document, and now how we would go about editing all those things. So hopefully you've seen a pretty good detail of how we would, edit a site and build it in Joomla, and how we can filter things and modules, and how the modules apply to certain pages, and how we can manipulate where those pages are by changing the menus around, and we can go into the code and edit it and really, locate exactly what we want to locate. The main exception to all of this would probably be the contact form right here. This contact form is actually a special form that is part of the components contacts. If we go under contacts, then we can actually see there's a contact here, and there's some things about this contact which we can change, and we can bind this contact to a specific user, send email from it. We can kind of change some of the things that are displayed on the form. There's a few options we can modify here. So it's good to note that the contact page is going to be bound to a contact menu item. So many times the menu item that things are bound to is very important. In this case, the pricing goes to a single article. The portfolio goes to some gantry themes custom, gantry themes custom. Now this goes to a single contact, contact to single contact. So let's take a look at that. Single contact is going to be specified as the select contact Kraken, Kraken being the contact. If we go back under components, contacts, we'll see that Kraken contact there. Now that Kraken contact is not bound at this time to a specific user under the users, but we could bind it. Then if that contact, then it would know like an email address and more information about that user per se. We're not going to do that at this time, so we'll just leave it alone. But that's how this form would work. Now, if we were to deploy a new page and we wanted to, put a different contact on a different page, we could go say new menu item, say like, oh, we'll call it the staff directory. And so then we say menu item type. Well, the menu item types in Joomla, a lot of times we can bind things to like a single article if we just want to make like a simple page. This is this gantry custom page stuff. But what we care about this time is going to be contacts. So contacts is a type of menu item that's been installed in our Joomla framework by default, because contacts is part of the default package, and so we could say single contact, and that's how we would create a new, or we could go to a directory, a categories, list of categories, etc. So typically we'd make like a new article and point it at something. So let's take a look at that, because it's real interesting to note the article itself on these menu items that we're referring to, them being single articles and things. So like, let's say about us, is this a about us is, oh, it's a custom. Okay, we want single articles. So pricing is the only one of these that points to a single article. In the future though, if we were to add more pages, we would probably use single articles to start the page. But let's take a look at this. So if we were to scroll through this, we would see that actually some of this text relates to an article, not to a module. So there's a thing called the article pathway, and the article pathway contains the article. So pricing is the name of this article. If we came here, go to content, articles, we'll find a pricing article. Here it is. So if we were to go into this article, it'd be the same exact article as what we're dealing with. This text here, same exact thing as this text here. This is just editing it on the front end. In this case, I'm going to cancel, but I could come in here and edit the text as well. Or I could make no text and just put a bunch of modules on that page and just have no text in the article. The only text in the article on this page is this right here. It's very small. The rest of this are modules, and these modules are like bound specifically to this page. For example, expanded A here with module ID 215. That module is not going to be bound probably to any other page than on the pricing page. Go under modules. Select type. Find this 215. Right here, pricing grid. Menu assignment, it's only bound to pricing. So now, and I just also want to point out that I've never seen Kraken before, I've never used Kraken before, and there's some new things in this that I have never actually seen, so I just dove right in to demo this. This is so easy to use when you use this format. You don't need to have previous knowledge about the templates you're working with, because you have previous knowledge of the system that I've just shown you. And we could add and install additional functionality. We could go under and install, manage, and add more components. There's a whole entire vast set of themes for Joomla that we could add new functionality to the site with. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just setting up a basic site for, let's say, a new business. And when we have the inventory of everything, then it's super easy to go back to the customer and say, hey, this is the text we need. And in many cases, I like to go directly into each one of these modules, and I like to actually copy whatever text we need out of these into the planning document so that we know the exact size of the text. And we, how many words we're going to need. And then we talk about what are these things going to mean? What are these going to represent conceptually to your site? So, are these going to be key things about your business? Are these just going to be hot words about your industry? What are these going to be? And then what are they going to link to anything? And then what is that thing they're going to link to? So, as we kind of go through each one of the elements of each one of the pages, sometimes we find things on other pages we want to borrow and move to a different page, and sometimes we disable a lot of stuff and are left with just a real simple few little elements. And that is how we go about building a Joomla site. So thanks for watching this training, and I hope you have taken away the knowledge necessary to be successful at this.